game winners, the big losers, and we're even going to sprinkle in a few parlays to get your boys excited. First on the list, we have the Bills versus the Jets. We have the Bills with a 6.5 point spread. And your boy is not usually a point spreader. I love the money line. But if you're going to be bold and pick a spread, this one feels awfully comfortable. Like we have Josh Allen, who's arguably a top three quarterback, maybe even number one in a lot of people's eyes, not mine, but some people. And then you have Justin Fields, a bottom 25 quarterback, who has put some excitement back into the Jets lineup, made him kind of feisty, but let's be completely honest, this does have a touchdown plus game written all over it comfortably. There's absolutely no reason the Bills do not cover this spread. It just doesn't make any sense. Next on the list, we have the Giants facing the Cowboys with a 4.5 point spread. And boy, did these Cowboys need this game. They needed it. This is a get right game. You have Russell Wilson, who is the best quarterback the Giants have probably seen in a long time, maybe even since Eli Manning, we might even say. But the problem is, it's not Russell Wilson of old. This is 2025 Russell Wilson. And even though Dak Prescott is not an elite quarterback, he will get right with this game and play. Look, they showed they can be competitive without Parsons. Not win, but competitive. And when you're facing a bottom five team in the league with the New York Giants, this is what you call better than a bye. It's a get right game. Next on the list, we have the Browns versus the Ravens with the most disrespectful spread of the season so far of 11.5 points. Now, the Browns are not a great team, but they're also in a situation where they got Joey Flacco, the best quarterback they've seen in a long time. Since Baker Mayfield. Since they made the mistake of getting rid of Baker, who took them to the playoffs, which for the Browns is an accomplishment, okay? You cannot discredit what Baker Mayfield did, and the football gods gave bad juju to the Browns for doing it. This is what happens. Now, the 11.5 point spread seems a bit much. The Browns are not a great team, but they are better than 11.5. Look for an alternative line for like 6.5. I think the Ravens win comfortably, but to sit there and ask them to have a 12-plus point game is kind of rich. You're asking a bit much, okay? You're getting a little heavy, a little outrageous with this. Next, we have the Rams, 5.5 point favorites versus the Titans. And look, Cam Ward has shown he is that guy. He's the only quarterback drafted this year that's worth talking about, and Cam Ward delivered. Now, is that going to be enough to beat the Rams? I don't think so. I don't really like this 5.5 point spread because we are talking about a team going on the road to Tennessee to win. Now, I do think the Rams win, but it is not exactly the blowaway experience you see here with this 5.5 point spread. Now, they could easily cover, but why risk it? Just take the money line, be a smart bettor, take the easy money. Now, I know it's tempting because you get more money by taking the spread, but it's not all glitz and glam when you do it that way. Next on the list, we have the Jags playing the Bengals. The Bengals are surprisingly only 3.5 point favorites at home against Jacksonville. Now, in my heart, I want to pick the Jags. I just can't do it. I can't make that leap. It just doesn't get there for me. The Jags, got to play an easy Panthers team, but it wasn't like some litmus test of excellence. I just don't see it. It's a little rough for me. The Bengals probably going Bengal. I'm probably going to mess this game up, but money line. Not enough value in the point spread to take the point spread for the Bengals. Next on the list, we have the Bears versus the Lions. That's right, the Detroit Lions. And this one feels pretty safe. This is like the Bills versus Jets situation where the Lions should win by a touchdown or more. Caleb Williams is the hot garbage that we told you he would be. We warned you that he would not be successful, and we watched garbage after garbage last year. Last week, it was repetitive. He absolutely killed DJ Moore by throwing to a pass in the middle, double coverage, bam, wham, bam, classic, you're hit and get it done. And I'm going to shout out to Logan because I actually give jobs. I hire people. I don't need a job when you own a business, kiddo. But keep it up. Shout out to the commenters. Seahawks versus Steelers. 3-point favorites for the Steelers. And this is a kind of wild situation for the Steelers because the Seahawks have shown they're not a great team, but do not get it mistaken. The Steelers are not a great team either. Look at what they did with the Jets. They were in a dogfight with the Jets. I don't think the Seahawks get there, but I will take the money line with the Steelers. This could be a long end of the season if the Steelers win this game. Shout out Snokamo, said go Chiefs. We've not talked about the Chiefs game, but you're definitely going to want to pay attention to it. I also dropped a video if you want it in there. Shout out to Nathan. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing good on this Saturday morning. What do we got next? We got the Niners versus the Saints. And the Saints might pull off this upset. That is right. The Saints will pull off this upset. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. The Saints are going to beat the 49ers, and the Saints are a completely trash team. Spencer Rattler, bottom 25 quarterback. And it's crazy to think that this is going to be a competitive game, but they don't have their quarterback. They're stuck with Mac Jones with the 49ers. Brock Purdy is not playing this game. They're missing half their wide receivers. This has upset potential for that 3-point. This is the first dog of the week. First upset on the schedule will be Saints over 49ers. Shout out to Nathan. Do you like the Packers? I'm not a Packers fan, but you cannot argue that they are not a Super Bowl contender at this point. Adding Michael Parsons to that defensive line was just a game changer. I've got questions about health for their entire season. It's a long 18. But you can't tell me the Packers aren't favored in a lot of situations. The Packers are doing great this year. Nice to see Jordan Love prove me wrong. I thought he was going to be a bust, and here he is just balling. Green Bay working on their third quarterback in a row. That might be an elite-style Packer quarterback. Next on the list, we have the Pats versus the Dolphins. Only 1.5-point favorites for the Dolphins at home. You wish this was a little later in the year, Dolphins fan, because that temperature change would be more drastic. But do not get it mistaken. It's still 90 degrees in Miami. And when you come to a situation like that, it's not good. I think the Patriots win. The Dolphins are in catastrophe mode. I didn't have high hopes on the Dolphins season this year, but they've proven it's even lower than that. It's absolutely mind-blowing to see what's going on in the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill hasn't had a 30-yard catch in a year. And you can't blame nothing but the quarterback situation down there in Miami for it. Let's see, next on the list, Panthers versus Cardinals. Cardinals 6.5-point favorites at home. Makes sense. I'm with it. The Cardinals might not cover the spread. You'd probably want to look for an alternative line at like 2.5. I don't feel comfortable. I'd take the Cardinals money line actually. But they should win this game at home against the Panthers, who are struggling to keep a roster together to make Bryce Young look like anything like he did last year. It's disrespectful to see what they're doing to Bryce Young, but here we are watching the Panthers be exactly what the Panthers are, in a failing team. Next, we have the Broncos versus the Colts. And the Broncos are only 2.5-point favorites. This has trap game written all over it to me. This has trap game written all over. It just blows my mind. Only 2.5-point favorites. You know, if we on paper you look at these two teams and you go, maybe, just maybe, it should be higher. The Broncos should have a bigger gap than this. And with them telling me 2.5-point favorites, they're wanting people to bet the Broncos, bet the Colts. Bet the Colts. It is clear upset written all over. When these Vegas lines are so catastrophically wrong for the team that should be heavily favored, I will always fade it because the public will bet heavy on the Broncos over the Colts, and it's not there for me. And that's the same thing with this next game, Eagles versus Chiefs. I do have a dedicated video on the page already, so make sure you check that out. Eagles, only 1.5-point favorites. 1.5-point favorites. After we watched the Eagles blow out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Look, the Chiefs' only position group that you can point to that's better is quarterback. Mahomes is better than Hurts, but the wide receiver group for the Eagles is better. The running back situation is better by a country mile. You have, and if you go on the defensive line for the Eagles is better. The linebacking core for the Chiefs might be slightly better. And the cornerback groups for both have seemed to regress. They're not as good as they should be. And that tells me that the Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to upset here. And look, they're missing wide receiver 1, missing wide receiver 2, missing wide receiver number 5. Like you start looking at it, this is a banged up offense, and it's only week 1. Only week 1 here. It's crazy. Sunday Night Football, we have the Falcons playing the Vikings. That should be an unexpectedly exciting game. I will pick in the Vikings. They are 3.5-point favorites, but the Falcons can win this game. The Falcons are a feisty team. If you went and picked matter of fact, I'm changing my pick. The Falcons are going to beat the Vikings. I'm changing it right here live, just because I think people are underestimating what the Falcons can do. This 3.5-point line tells me even Vegas acknowledges that home field advantage is taking a large part of this. The Falcons are used to playing in a dome. The dome has no effect to them. Give me the Falcons. Upset alert. Bam, bam, bam. Monday Night Football, we have the Buccaneers playing the Texans, where the Buccaneers will upset the Texans, who are 2.5-point favorites at home. That's right, the Buccaneers are beating the Texans. You heard it here first. Vegas got it wrong. See, there's no offense to C.J. Stroud and them boys. I'm high on the Texans. I think they can be highly competitive. But if you're going to ask me who to pick, I'm going Buccaneers. In the last game of the week, Chargers versus Raiders, Monday Night Classic. 3.5-point favorites for the Chargers. And it feels awfully light. Look, the Raiders are not that team. Do not get it mistaken. Don't get all overinflated because of what they did versus the Seahawks last week. It is the Chargers going to win. Let me know in the comments which games did I get right, which games did I get wrong. Let your boy know. This is the Bold Sports Show. Make sure you bet responsibly and all that.